Good afternoon, young warriors. Coming to you from my kitchen again. Today we're going to have the first of maybe 2 or 3 sessions of cooking with the coach. So today I thought about introducing a very interesting vegetable called a spaghetti squash. That's what this is. You might have seen one of those at the grocery store with your folks when you are in the produce section. This is a very versatile vegetable. This is what it looks like. To prepare the spaghetti squash, you take it and you cut it vertically down the middle. I cut it. And then you open it up and it will resemble what a pumpkin looks like and kind of what a pumpkin smells like if you've ever made a jack-o'-lantern. To clean this out, all you do is you take a spoon and you scrape all of its guts out on a board, and you just set it to the side. You do the other side. Scrape it out. It's not too hard. And this is what you're going to bake. This still has a little strangeness in here. And you can just set this stuff off to the side, because that's about the hardest part of it. Then you want to take a little bit of olive oil, or if you have another cooking oil, and you gently drizzle it inside and rub it around. And add a little extra. Just rub it around, and I like to give it a nice little rub on the outside too. It kind of keeps it nice and moist. And you rub this around. Then you'll want to lightly season it. You don't need a lot of salt and pepper. Just a little bit pepper. Hands are greasy. A little bit of pepper. I sometimes like a little fancy salt, so just a little bit, just a little bit. Rub that around. Then you flip it over to its back, and you take a fork, and you just kind of poke some holes. They're kind of like vent holes. It'll let the steam come out, so it'll be a nice cook when you go to put it in the oven. You have your oven preheated to 400 degrees. You take your spaghetti squash, pop it in your oven. Oops, don't turn the oven off. For 35 minutes. And then we'll be back after we're done cooking. So while the spaghetti squash is finishing cooking, I thought I would give you a comparison of the other kinds of spaghetti compared to the spaghetti squash. We're going to look at calories, fat, the carbohydrates, protein, fiber, and sugar in 3 different kinds of spaghetti. So I thought I'd start off with the normal kind of spaghetti that most of us have eaten. It has, for 1 cup, which is this amount, it has 220 calories. Not very much fat. You usually get your fats with your dairies and your meats. It has a lot of carbohydrates, but carbohydrates are not bad. It's just you kind of have to balance how many carbohydrates you get. But you'll see that pasta has a lot of carbohydrates. In 1 cup, there's 43 grams of carbohydrate. Protein's not too bad. That's where you get your power food. Fiber, 2.5 grams, and sugar, not too bad at all, less than 1 gram. So that's for regular pasta. For whole wheat pasta, which I prefer, if I'm going to eat a pasta, I really like whole wheat pasta. It has, for 1 cup, 174 grams, a little bit of fat, not as many carbohydrates as the other kind of pasta. Protein, still right in the same amount almost as the other. It has a little bit more fiber because it's the whole grain. And that's what you kind of want. You want that dietary fiber in your diet to kind of keep everything moving the way it's supposed to. And sugar is not too bad either. When we're looking at the value of the spaghetti squash, it has 31 calories for a cup. That's not very many calories at all. The fat is not very high. Carbohydrates are not near as high. Proteins, not as much as the other kind of pastas. Fiber, not as high as the whole grain. And the sugar, it's a little bit more because sometimes your starchy vegetables give you a little bit more in the sugar area, like corn, and sometimes some of your squashes do as well. So the meal that we're going to put together is going to consist of 1 cup of spaghetti squash, a 1/2 cup of meatless spaghetti sauce, 6 meatballs, the frozen meatballs, and an 1/8 cup of Parmesan cheese. So here is how we're going to put that together. The spaghetti squash just got finished, so I'm going to fetch it. This is what it looks like when it's cooked. Sometimes, if you don't pierce the back of the spaghetti squash, you can use it as a bowl, which makes it kind of fun also. To do this, you take it and you flip it over. You get a bowl and a fork. If it's really hot, this has been sitting out for just a little bit. If it's really hot, you will see this is amazing. Look what it does. It just flakes out and looks like spaghetti noodles. So you just scrape your spaghetti squash out of its skin. You don't want to eat the skin. Skin's not what the part of it you want to eat. So you scrape it. Scrape it out. Get my tongs. That's a better system. I'll set this off to the side. Scoot this back so you can get a better look at it. Just scrapes out, and it looks like a bowl of pasta. All right, so you set these to the side. And then, to prepare your meal, you just take your bowl, get your tongs. If you want to measure out what 1 cup looks like, there's your cup. You pour it in your bowl. Then I'm going to bring over my spaghetti sauce mixture. If you want to be precise, there we're going to be 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And a half cup of sauce. And then if you take your, this is a 1/4 cup, so I only want to use about a half. So it's about, and sprinkle that on the top. And then you have your bowl of spaghetti squash with meatballs and Parmesan cheese. You just mix it around a little bit. And bon appetit. Next time, cooking with the coach, we're going to investigate what in the world is quinoa and how can it be used. It looks like quinoa, but it's called quinoa. It's a whole grain. It's a power food. And the sweet potato. It's not for Thanksgiving anymore. Love y'all. Happy eating.